Hello, welcome back to my channel, which is quickly turned into a To All the Boys I Loved Before channel. Today, we're going to be talking about To All the Boys I Loved Before, the movie. And I've now watched it 4 times in my previous videos, which I will link up above. I really went into every single scene. I'm going to be trying to discuss all the stuff that is in this movie because I loved it. And it is different from the book. It is a lot more different than I thought it was going to be, but I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. My last thought is that in these last 3 days I've been obsessing, and one of my previous hobbies was to make fan edits. I did it for a good portion of my life, probably a good 2 or 3 years. So I made one. I will link it up above if you want to watch it. Okay, without further ado, let's start talking about the movie. And also, yes, I'm freaking cosplaying as Lara Jean right now. Okay, here's a picture of me in the skirt and a backpack. Okay, look, it's fine. So, over-encompassing thoughts, I really was super impressed with this. I was especially impressed with the cinematography of this movie. It was so beautifully shot, and I was so incredibly impressed with that. In general, I think it really makes a movie that much better when you're watching it and it's just so nice to watch. Another thing that was just fantastic, the costuming, the set design, Lara Jean's outfit, and Lara Jean's bedroom, just everything was just so beautiful. And that just made it all the better. The next thing I guess I'll talk about is the acting. I thought that the acting was so much better than I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting some pretty average to mediocre acting. Maybe cheesy, maybe not great, but I was super impressed, okay? Especially with Noah Centineo. I was super impressed with Lana Condor. I thought she was really funny, and that was something that I really enjoyed. I loved Kitty. I thought she was fantastic. I loved the change they made to Kitty's plotline. I thought it was just so much better and less problematic than in the books where Kitty sent out the letters to get back at Lara Jean. Janelle Parrish wasn't in it much, but actually, I love movie Margot. I love movie Margot so much more than book Margot. It is ridiculous. She is so much kinder and more accepting of Lara Jean, and it makes me so happy. In the books, she was very judgy. She was really quick to jump to conclusions about things, and she was just overall could be really mean. I just really appreciated how she was super supportive this whole entire book. When Lara Jean at the end had the whole video thing, she put aside the fact she just found out that Lara Jean had a crush on her boyfriend for the last 2.5 years, and she helped her out, and I just found that really nice and comforting, and I really appreciated Margot in this. She just was a lot better in my opinion. Josh's acting was one of the ones I had the most problem with, and I couldn't tell if it was the writing or his acting. I felt like some of the scenes were good, but then his tone and inflection on some of his lines was just weird. The scene where he comes over to Lara Jean's and he's talking, he's can we talk about this? And they're standing outside. Some of his lines there were just odd.
Not tell Margot?
Margot's not even talking to me, all right? You don't have to worry about that.
And the way he said it was just weird, and I just wasn't sure how I felt about it. And when he showed up when Peter and Lara Jean were fighting outside, and he shows up with his hood over and he's like, she told you to leave, buddy.
Just leave.
Can we just go inside and talk about this? She asked you to leave, buddy.
I'm sorry, I lost it. I could not take that serious. I don't know if he was supposed to be if that was supposed to be shocking, but you saw him sneak up with the hoodie over his head, and I just couldn't. That was ridiculous. I couldn't take him seriously, and I was kind of upset that even though this was supposed to kind of be a love triangle, in the book there was even more of a chance than in this movie. In the book, they kissed, there was some drama, he actually admitted that he liked her, but in the movie, he was never a real option. This is the thing I loved about this movie. They said they were doing this to get back at Jen and Josh, but Josh became irrelevant after the first 30 minutes. Occasionally they would show him in the cafeteria watching them and giving them a look, but really nothing ever happened with him except for the ending with Margot. He was really irrelevant, and I wasn't mad because he was so freaking awful, and I'm glad they made him awful in this too. Him talking about you're too innocent for him, and her saying you make me sound really boring, Josh. I lived. I'm glad how they portrayed him. Chris, freaking loved her. Her monologue about the gynecologist thing, I died. Like, I loved her. Her dad was a little extra sometimes. His acting was a little weird too. Like, I wasn't sure how I felt about him. Well, Lucas, I freaking love. I loved how they made him a bigger part in this movie. And then Jen. Her lines were funny. And I know they were trying to make her like stereotypical, and they still, I think, did a decent job of giving her the backstory. I don't think it was great. I don't think her acting was great. It was kind of weird, but I think that was kind of how it was supposed to be. Like, her lines were supposed to be like a little like off. I have a lot of thoughts about Jen. Overall, like, she was kind of like the quintessential mean girl who kind of has a backstory but didn't really dive into it completely. But yeah, that's really all I can say about that. So that's the acting. Going into the plot. I try to go through this as quickly as possible. I'm skimming through the movie. I'm going to talk about the biggest parts, and that's it. That's really all I can do. Josh buying the plane ticket to go to Scotland and showing it to her in front of the whole family, and then her breaking up with him. Fucking golden. Love that. That was such a nice change that I really enjoyed. Like, it really just like sent it home that like everyone knows what's up. I loved the flashbacks of her and Josh and Margot and like the parallels between them. First day of school, the scene with Jen and the boot and Peter when we first see Peter. Oh my god. Like, him sneaking up on Jen. Maybe I'll insert a clip.
What, Chrissy? Screw you, because you know that my feet are always cold.
Hey, babe.
Oh.
So sweet. Why is he so sweet? Freaking hurts me. He tries to like condone what she's like talking about. Like, it's just so sweet, and it's like the perfect introduction to Peter's character because like it shows that like I don't know, he's nice, okay? That's really all I have to say about that. I don't know. And then they do the flashback scene of Spin the Bottle. I have things to say about this. I was right. They did change the first kiss. Not mad about it because it was still, Jen still saw it and it was still funny as shit. That scene with like the kids, like, I thought it was just so well done. You see them and they're all with like their group. Well, really you only see Peter, Lara Jean, Jen, and then you see this blonde kid. That blonde kid must be John Ambrose, right? I mean, it could just be a random, but I think they obviously strategically put that there, and that is John Ambrose blonde hair. You know, that's another thing to think about. Kitty and her watching Golden Girls. Kitty talking about Lara Jean had a boyfriend. The boyfriend can take them places. And she's like, well, I think you have to wait for that. Like, I'm not getting a boyfriend anytime soon. And Kitty's like, what about the boy you almost killed the other day? Lara Jean saying,
he's dating Jen.
And Kitty says,
So?
Mood. Funny as shit. Obviously, Kitty sends off the letters, and then we cut to the scene where shit like starts to go haywire. What I really liked about this is that they, right off the bat, Chris talks to Peter right when he shows up on the track, and they really introduce the fact that him and Jen are broken up, just so they don't like do like the cheating thing, which I really appreciated. And then we've talked that scene multiple times. I'll link it up above. We have Josh showing up with his letter, the kiss, Lucas with the letter. I've talked all about these. Her driving home, having the freak out. Spoilers for P.S. I Still Love You. There's gonna be more towards the end, but right now I'm about to say something, so if you don't want to hear it, skip to this timestamp. She's wearing like a locket necklace, heart necklace throughout this whole thing, which is the necklace that Peter gives her in P.S. I Still Love You. So I was kind of triggered that they ruled that out basically, because why would she have another locket necklace? Moving on, and she has those like those weird scenes where Josh is in her bedroom in her imagination. This is what I mean, like, he was just weird.
I know you love me.
And she rolls out the window. I love the addition of the corner cafe, and like that is like their kind of spot. Cool. I loved how they had like a central place where they always had these like talks. So I really freaking loved this scene. Okay, it was just really freaking cute. And this is where he does like the line of like,
Are you trying to reject me right now?
Well, yeah, because it didn't really seem like it took back the first time.
it was just like the lines they had were just so good. Like, it was just like the perfect like rom-com line, quotable, cute, but still like, not too cheesy. Like, it's just like funny and good. Anyway, I was just super impressed. Okay, so that's the milkshake scene, and then we have the scene where like they go back, proposes the idea of them fake dating. You look. Okay, it's pretty well known that while it technically was fake dating, Peter was a little far in, you know? I think it was fake dating for him for maybe a couple days, and then it really wasn't anymore. And I think that's the thing that so many people loved about this movie, was that it was just the perfect tension, but also cute. The one thing I have to say is, why does Lara Jean, after they're like talking, she proceeds to ride her bike up to the door? Why? And then Peter like turning around and looking back at her. Sure, it's fake. It's fake dating. We don't actually like her. No. Anyway, so then she walks on the lacrosse field. So this is the thing that is a really big difference, I feel, than the books. In the books, Lara Jean is nervous as hell. She doesn't do things like this. Not super outgoing. Like, would book Lara Jean really walk across the lacrosse field while they're practicing and do this? Absolutely not. But I freaking love movie Lara Jean for this. Same with, like, later she stands up to Jen multiple times, and while she still does, like, struggle with it, she does it multiple times, like at the party. Oh, at the end, she, like, talks to her and kind of, like, goes back and forth, or in the beginning too, which is something I feel like book Lara Jean would not have done, but I really like this change because I feel like it sets up the next book in a better light than I suspect it would go if this was a perfect adaptation of the first book, and which I'll get into later because I don't want to spoil anybody. This, I think, is one of my favorite scenes. It's really close, okay? Saying let's do this, him taking off the helmet. You know what? It's just like it's a aesthetic, okay? And then them kissing on the field. Like, wow. Just like great stuff. And then they have the contract scene. Okay, Peter being upset that he can't kiss Lara Jean. You cannot tell me that that is like a genuine thing that somebody who was in a fake like relationship, like, yeah, he's like, no one's ever gonna believe we're together if I'm not allowed to touch you. Like, yeah, but like, I'm just dead. Noah Centineo's acting, there's just something so charming and impressive about it. Throughout this, when he says stuff that he is more emotional and that like he really means and he's not joking, his voice gets like low and like husky. And in the scene he does it when he's like,
I could write you notes every day.
he puts like ums in the middle of his words, but it was really nice. Like, you could always tell like when he was like feeling things. And the notes. He said I could write you notes every day, and like it'll make Jen mad because Jen always wanted me to write her notes and I never did. Blah 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 blah. But then obviously he still writes all these really nice things in the notes, which why would he have to do that? Because I mean, the only reason that they're passing the notes is just so Jen sees that there is a note. There doesn't have to necessarily be any kind of anything in the note, but obviously there is, and they're all like super sentimental and sweet, so it's like, what the Anyway, the Jeep scene, freaking love that he changed his car to a Jeep. I think that's freaking cool, okay? It's still like a cool car. Anyway, the scene with Kitty and she being like,
Oh, hell yes!
and she knows that this is Peter, like the guy she sent out the letter to, and she's just like shook. Like, she's shook it the whole time. And when Peter says that,
Well, I guess I'm her boyfriend.
Lara Jean like chokes and Kitty's like dying in the background. Like, that's just a mood. We have the hand in the back pocket scene. I think this is my favorite scene, like my favorite clip. I think just like aesthetic clip, this is my favorite, when his hand's in her back pocket and he spins her. I can't. And then he tells her like a good job, and like so well shot, so impressive. But like, this movie was funny. Like, the scene with Lara Jean like trying to figure out what she's gonna say to Margot, it was just freaking cute, okay? I died at this scene at the party right before. She's really nervous and he takes a picture of her and makes it his lock screen. She like tries to take her hair out and he's like, I like your hair down, you look pretty. Which I know this is like basic, like whatever. It was freaking cute, okay? He was like,
Girl, come on. You know I already got it.
the chemistry between Lana and Noah is impressive. And like when he pulls the scrunchie out of her hair and she's like laughing and he's smiling, and I could go on and on. Then there's a scrunchie thing, which is like a whole thing. Like, did she get her scrunchie back? That's a thing that's on Twitter too right now. It doesn't matter if she got her scrunchie back, she got her man, so. Lara Jean is sassy as hell with Jen, and like, I think maybe she was occasionally in the book, but I feel like it was a little amplified. I just really enjoyed that. And then Peter's like, Lara Jean, let's go to the cafe, we're gonna leave. Yeah, because you guys need to go to the cafe where no one's going to see you, where your relationship doesn't need to be real, but we're gonna go to the cafe and hang out. Okay. Okay, so they go to the cafe. This is the scene that most people are quoting, and she's sassy as fuck. Like, I think it's real funny that you still talk to your ex-girlfriend on the phone. Like, queen. Here's the thing with book Lara Jean that I've only now realized as I'm rereading, is she's so freaking judgy in her head. Homegirl never says what she's feeling, and while she's not saying what she's feeling here exactly, she's a lot more vocal and she's like a lot more comfortable around Peter, and I just pray to freaking God that their communication is better if we do get a sequel, which I'll talk about towards the end of the video. So the first scene that most people are talking about is when she's talking about how love and dating, like, it's real fun to read about, it's real fun to write about, but in real life, and he says,
What? It's scary?
people are like, oh my god, I feel called out. But when he says, what, it's scary, like, he does the whispery voice, I just like fucking die every single time. Which is like when they're having like their serious conversations and his voice gets all low. Kill me, kill me, kill me, just slay me and kill me. Oh, actually there's 3, and not anyone really talks about the second part, but when he's talking about his dad and she's like,
It's hard, huh?
It's whatever.
Well, we don't have to talk about it, but it's not whatever.
like, I fucking died, like my OTPs, fucking sweetest. Oh, I can't. And then the one that kills me every single time, he says,
I think it's funny, you say that you're scared of commitment and relationships, but you don't seem to be afraid to be with me.
and home girl.
Well, there's no reason to.
And then he does the low thing voice again. He says,
Why is that?
and she says,
Because we're just pretending.
and he is clearly hurt.
Right. Of course, Lara Jean Covey, ladies and gentlemen, you can count on her, to be honest. Always.
And basically it's just in the book and in the movie too, it's hurtful. It's more hurtful in the book, but I'm glad they don't make it as hurtful in the movie because I literally almost cried like 10,000 times. Anyway, so after this scene, they text and he posts the picture and he calls her bae, blah, blah, blah. They have Largy, you know, from the books. Love that, with his friend. And here's the scene with Josh, and I don't even want to go over it. It was just weird. And then she like, she says, sorry, I've got to go. And she like walks in the door and just leaves him on a porch. Like, that's a big mood. Yeah, he's just freaking weird. Like, I don't know, the scene was just like weird. I'm not gonna go that into it. Kitty and Peter and Largy on the couch, and like Kitty and Peter having the pillow fight, like, slay me. Okay, my favorite scene is with Lara Jean and Peter's family. I can't with like the whole scene after it where they're sitting on the counter and having like their conversation, like him whispering the whole time and her like being all soft, and like both of them being soft, and like him being all hurt. Like, this is the biggest thing I wanted in this movie. Like, I wanted to make sure that they showed Peter Kaminsky not in like the jockey, like borderline gross like sort of way. I wanted him to be soft and vulnerable and sensitive, and you know what, I think they did that nearly perfectly, and this scene especially showed it, and I loved it. Okay, and Lara Jean's like super supportive and she's like not judgy. I'm just really glad that that didn't transfer over, you know, like maybe she's still thinking it, but we don't see it in the movie. But the part that kills me, and I literally mean kills me, is like when she's talking about,
It's actually really nice having someone to talk to about this stuff.
and she says,
You're a good listener.
and he says,
Yeah?
she says,
Mm-hmm.
and then he says,
Well, thank you. You are too.
and she says,
Thanks.
and then he whispers,
You're welcome.
and then they like have that moment where they just like look away from each other, and I just feel things. This is like when it really goes down. It's like,
Being with Peter was so easy that sometimes I let myself pretend it wasn't fake.
I die. Okay, I die. And then we have the thing with Jen and Peter talking on the bleachers. They're talking about Lara Jean, and then Lara Jean talking to Josh about her problems. Fucking love it, because put him in his place. This is the line, the only line in this whole entire movie, I swear to God, that actually physically made me cringe was like,
You don't even post about us on your Instagram.
hurt me just a little. But other than that, it was completely fine. And then the whole not going on the ski trip unless Chris goes on the ski trip. And we have the scene where she's like talking to Chris, having a good old time, and then her dad like butts in and was like, I've never seen you as happy as you are with Peter. Like, you should really go on the trip. And then we just cut forward right to the trip, and she doesn't sit with him. This is the one thing that I told you I wish they freaking changed, because it's hurtful. Every single time it's freaking hurtful. But yeah, she still didn't sit with him on the bus. Such a petty little thing, but it bothers me every single freaking time. And Jen sits on the bus and makes like a big freaking deal about it. There's a scene of them like talking, and like her pulls out her books. Super relatable, super funny. And then like Jen's like, going down the black diamonds, Peter, blah 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 blah. I'm kind of sad that she didn't step out of her comfort zone and actually go skiing, but like that kind of would have been like a hard scene to even film, and I kind of like the vibe of just them being inside this ski lodge, I guess. Then we got the scene with Lucas and the face mask and them having that conversation, which love. absolutely adore, especially the line.
Well, I just know that homeboy likes you. I mean, I can tell by the way he looks at you.
And she tells him obviously that they've been like fake dating, but like Lucas is like, okay. And like he like drops like the truth bomb of like,
The whole fake relationship was his idea. You came up with the no kissing rule, and you're the one who keeps trying to break up with him, and you're also the one who's currently carb loading with a gay man while he's probably waiting for you in the hot tub.
like she genuinely thinks he doesn't like her. I can't with that. Like he's like,
So I'd say, if there's anyone who stupidly fell for somebody who doesn't like them back, it's not you, it's Kavinsky.
T. And then we cut to the hot tub scene. The hot tub scene. Okay. I don't even know what to say. It's the hot tub scene. It's the hot tub scene. So, yeah, it's literally the hot tub scene. And it's just like the back and forth between them kills me. Like
Someone who has such good grades, you can be so dense sometimes.
and
So if I went all the way across town to get you something that you like, then that means
You must really like yogurt.
you are impossible.
fucking die every single freaking time I see it. This scene kills me. Like this whole scene is them whispering and the song in the background delays me, and then they like stare at each other for like an extended period of time. Like they just stare at each other. Like they're just in silence staring at each other, and that shit gets me, okay? And then she gets in the hot tub and are you freaking ready? Are you freaking like I wasn't prepared. Like I literally was not prepared for him to pick her up and put her in her lap and say
There's no one like you, Cubby.
like who that definitely didn't happen in the book. Like he definitely didn't say that, because I guarantee you, absolutely 100% guarantee you, I would have died. This is the thing about the hot tub scene in the book, okay? She walks up, she says hi. He like, his eyes wide open and he's like nervously looks over his shoulder like he's really startled. And he says, Lara Jean, what are you doing out here? That's like a big thing in the book. Well, mainly in the second book. I just need to include this right here. So if you haven't read the second book, kindly see yourself out for like until this time, okay? Really, I don't know if it's even gonna come into, I guess it maybe will, but anyway, it didn't happen in the movie. But the big thing with that was that in the second book, Lara Jean is like really hung up on it, and she thinks that he was maybe waiting for Jen, and like there's a scene where it's like, if I hadn't have come out there, do you think you would have kissed Jen that night? And he was like, I don't know. So that's like a really big thing, but that didn't happen in here, and God bless, because that was like another emotional turmoil thing. But yeah, he definitely didn't say there's no one like you, Cubby, because that line, like this is what I'm saying, like they added such perfect quotable hurt me lines, and then like pull a cart and he says like what, and she says nothing, and then they start kissing him. They have the scene, like the kissing scene, like when they're in the lobby and like she goes to like walk towards her room and he like pulls her back, like makes that face and he pulls her back and they just die every single freaking time, and then they kiss and then he says goodnight and kill me. And then they just stare at each other, and then we get on the bus and everyone claps. She's like, did you tell anyone? And then he says, I'm tired. Can I use you as a pillow? And I die. And there's a whole scene with Jen and her fucking scrunchie that I'm kind of just over at this point. Whatever. And then she gets mad that he went to Jen's room and the scrunchie thing, whatever. They have a little fight there. Tiff tiff. And then they go back and Margot's home. Peter shows up. They start fighting. Last night we'll never know what he was gonna say. Like that pains me. I want to know what he was gonna say there. Physical stuff might not be a big deal to you, but to me it is. Like she's always like going back to that, and he's like,
Who says that it's not a big deal to me?
this is when Josh fucking shows up with his hoodie, like, and I could not, like, this scene was so dramatic, and then fucking Josh shows up with a fucking hoodie. She asked you to leave, buddy. I can't with that scene. But anyway, and then Margot shows up and she's like, you're in love with Josh? And then she says, Peter, just go home. He says,
God, you were never second best.
and I die. She starts like ripping up shit, and then there's the thing with the video. So this is the part where we can talk about the second book, because this is the part of the second book. So I reread the book and I realized that while there was like the whole drama of like, I took a video of you that night, like I have a video, it didn't get leaked until the second book. And that leak getting resolved and like the whole drama around that leak is a good portion of the book. And because in the book, they fight on Christmas Eve, and then she writes her letter and they're kind of like good by New Year's, which is basically what happened here, sort of. But they actually go back to school, which did not happen in the first book. And the whole video thing did not happen in the first book. But like I said, I figured they were going to do this because you can't just, like, I figured they weren't just going to end it with her writing the letter and that being the end. I knew there had to be like some kind of conclusion for them. So I figured this. But what I didn't think about, or I didn't realize, is how big of a portion the video and the drama around the video and like everything to do with all of that shit is such a big portion of the second book that now I'm nervous of what the hell they're going to do with a sequel to this movie. Like, what are they going to do? Because like this issue gets resolved in 23 minutes. And I'll just briefly touch on like the whole like Kitty admits that she's the one that sent the letters, blah 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 blah. And they call them the Covey girls. Oh my god, Song Girls for Life. I was actually triggered by that statement. She starts cleaning her room, her family gets concerned. They has the really sweet talk with her dad about her mom. Super sweet, blah 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 blah. And then like I said, the video gets leaked. He stands up for her in the hallway, which he did. I'm not sure if he did in the hallway. I haven't reread P.S. I Still Love You in 2 years, so I don't remember exact, but I know he did stand up for her in some sort of way. But like I said, that was in the second book. And then she stands up to Jen and
It was spin the bottle, you psycho, and it was tongueless.
Okay, well, it wasn't tongueless to me.
go like iconic. So then she has that scene with Josh and Kitty brings down the letters and she reads the one. He says, "You looked pretty today," but I was hoping it would be like, "You look pretty today, I like you in blue," but we didn't get the "I liked you in blue." And then Josh says, "Do you still think you haven't got a love letter?" And then she drives to the school. She parks like a fucking asshole. And then she goes gets her mans. And that scene is another one that will just go down in history. "I like you, Peter," and not in a fake way. And then he just drops, "Because I'm in love with you, Lara Jean." And then she says, "You're what?" And then he does that fucking smile. And it gets me every single fucking time. And then she says, "How can we make a contract for a real relationship? Blah, blah, blah. You gotta trust." And then he says, "You're gonna break my heart, Covey," which is like, he says in the second book, "Are you planning on breaking my heart, Covey?" Because in the second book, in the contract, they put, "Neither of us will break each other's hearts." But then he says, "You gotta break my heart, Covey," and I literally felt things because she does, like, multiple fucking times throughout this whole entire book series. So that's the end. Here's the thing. So it's been fucking tons of hype about this. If popularity and like people like asking for a sequel is going to lead to a sequel, it's obvious, like, this book is definitely going to get a sequel. It has fucking 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. That is iconic, okay? You know what The Kissing Booth has? 13%. 13%. Oh shit. And then obviously at the end, John Ambrose McLaren shows up. Here's the thing. If we get a sequel, I don't fucking know what's going to happen in it. So if they're going to make a sequel to this movie, it's going to have to be pretty freaking different. And here is the reason why. If you do not want even slight spoilers for P.S. I Still Love You, don't watch this. The second book, the beginning part of this book, centers around the video and all of the drama between Peter and Lara Jean and Jen. Fucking Jen. That is a thing that really makes the second book even go on. And here's the thing. In this ending scene, Peter tells Lara Jean that the reason he wants Jen's room is to tell her that it's over. I don't believe that was something that was said in books, and even if it was, like, this just felt very final. And the reason that I don't think the second book is going to work with the movie is because Lara Jean, while still sort of insecure about Jen, doesn't put up with Jen's shit. And the second book really centers around Lara Jean being super insecure about her relationship and about Jen. And throughout this movie, she puts up with a lot of Jen's shit and she like talks back to her a lot, and she, like, while she's still insecure because obviously like they had a little rift there, she still like deals with her, which the main part in the second book is that Peter and Lara Jean have horrible communication and Lara Jean is super freaking insecure. And I don't see that in these characters in this movie. They're pretty open to each other to a certain extent. At least Peter is, like, absolutely. And Lara Jean is still insecure, but she's nowhere near as insecure as she was in the book. And that is the main first half of the second book, okay? But they also kind of resolved that because the video was already leaked, the video was already deleted, and they already made up after that video, which is probably, I'm not lying, like probably the first 150 pages of the second book. And then after the first 150 pages, and they start having like their tea drama, whatever, that's when John shows up. But he doesn't actually show up probably until maybe the last like 75 pages of the book, because at first he just sends her a letter back and they become pen pals. So him showing up at our door, completely different. And I just suspect if there's going to be a sequel, it's going to be very, 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 very different. But maybe not, because the other main part of this is John Ambrose McLaren, Treehouse, and Assassin, which I don't know if it'd be a good movie. Like, I really don't know if that plotline in particular would be a good movie. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not sure how they're going to make this work in a way that is super interesting to watch. Because while there is a plot, there really also isn't. I, of course, would love to have a sequel. I would love to see more Peter and Lara Jean, even though the second book literally hurts me because of all of the stuff with Jen and John Ambrose. And I just freaking don't want it. Also, I think the way that Lara Jean was like talking to Peter in that one scene with the milkshakes when she's explaining who she sent the 5 letters to, and she didn't say John's name, I think that's a good sign that they're still keeping it that John was part of their friend group. And like I said, with John spinning the bottle with them, really said somebody I met with Model UN in 5th grade. Like, that could still be a good plot line with John being their old friend. He moved away. Like, they set up a second movie, but I don't know what they're going to do with it, because I think they might just go like completely like off a lot, at least. Especially if they're starting it off right with John Ambrose, which means they're just starting off right away with all the tea and all of the stuff that hurts me. Lara Jean not being able to make up her fucking mind. I do know that I do want a sequel, but I think a sequel will physically pay me, and I really just want the last book. First book is super sweet, and I love this freaking movie to death, and I will continue to watch it, and I love how much hype it's getting, and I love like all these like people from my hometowns and stuff that are like tweeting about it on like local Twitter, whatever, and like hyping it up, and I love how much hype it's getting. But I'm nervous for a sequel that I think we might get. Also, Noah Centineo and Lana Condor's like friendship relationship, they don't have a freaking relationship because she's a boyfriend, but like, can you tell me that this doesn't scream relationship? Like, their pictures together, I can't. And also, on a final note before I close this out, I know this wasn't comprehensive and this was all the frick over the place, but I really love this. I felt like it was a very good adaptation separate from the book. I don't know, like, I felt things in this movie and I freaking loved it, and I just think it's wonderful. And also, to end this out, here is a nice uncolored, never before seen sort of photo of the hot tub scene, and it's like orange and it's pretty, and wow. Okay, so I think this is gonna be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. It's going to be freaking long. I mean, if you're still watching, you know it's long. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to comment down below all your feels, all your thoughts, everything. I know I've missed talking about some stuff because I would love to talk about them, because I know I'm gonna be thinking about this movie for at least probably another week, like intensely thinking about it. So hope you guys are all having a great day. I will see you very soon. Happy reading, happy watching. I know I'll be watching this 10 more times. And yeah, bye guys.